Hi, this is Tiff at Tiff's Creatives, and I'm excited to have you here today. I am kind of working forward from the What's a Junk Journal and why the heck do we use them, and where I went through my little templated beginner junk journal with you. And here we have something that I think you could really learn from my mistakes and errors, and maybe save yourself some money and some time by going over some of this great big alligator mouth junk journal with me. But this was the second one that I started to work on, which took me some time. And I am one that likes to recreate the wheel and not necessarily listen to everybody's advice or what they've been doing. And I just like to do it my own way. Now, being older, I have gotten better at that. I definitely take in people's advice and input, and I assess it and I mix it with my own ideas, thoughts, whatever, and then I move forward from there. So, one of the things I wondered about when I first started watching junk journaling videos was why the heck people didn't use, and you may have wondered this too, why they didn't use these wonderful canvases, these hard canvases from the Dollar Tree. I thought they were fantastic, and they were thick, they were solid. I thought, these will make a cover that will definitely hold up. And I thought, you know what? I haven't seen anybody else use these. I looked for it, couldn't find it, so I decided to try it myself. So I decided to use two, one for the front and back, and I also did the spine with one. Now, obviously, I did one bigger than this, so these are 4x6. I did it 8x10.5, I believe, is what the other canvas was at the dollar store, and decided to go ahead and cover that with paper. I did digitals off the internet. Now, digitals are great, and especially if you're first getting started, it's a wonderful way to get paper. I have gotten a lot of digitals, many from Etsy, and printed those up. You can get things to fussy cut out. You can get templated journals, templated pockets. That's one of the best things about the digitals, is that for me, starting out new, it gave me the templates to work off and then branch out onto my own things from there. So throughout here, you'll see a lot of things done off of templates from those digitals. My Porch Prints was a huge place that I went to for digitals. Also, Amity Bloom. She has beautiful colors and flowers, and I just love her stuff. It's great. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I used. I'll have to think of those people. But so they offer a wide variety, a lot of stuff to work from, and you'll find everything you need there. So yes, going forward, I decided to use these wonderful hard canvases. The problem with these is that you need a drill to be able to make the holes. If you're going to use a binder to clip to kind of hold these together, and if you're going to somehow sew on a spine, also you'll need to have a drill for this. Now, what I thought was, oh, I won't need a drill. I'll go ahead and use this for a front and back cover, get the other piece for my spine, cut that down, which cutting these is tremendously difficult. Oh my gosh, I had so much trouble cutting them and cutting them straight. I didn't have the tools. I was just starting out, so that was a huge frustration. And I was trying to do it myself, so I didn't ask my husband to help me, which I probably should have. So, like I said, I had the other piece for a spine right here, and I thought I'll just go ahead and tape and glue and use fabric or cheesecloth to hold the spine on there, and I'll have a hidden spine. So that was the direction I started going with my junk journal. Once I started cutting these down, I realized how difficult it was going to be to use them, but I was determined to make it work and not let it beat me. So I continued to go forward. And so I grabbed some Mod Podge for some of my glue. This was one of the glues I started out with, as well as a PVA glue, which is Type Bond. And this is a wood glue. So what I've found out is PVA, polyvinyl acetate glues, are generally wood glues, and that not all wood glues are alike. It's also your Elmer's glue. That is also a PVA glue. Here in the United States, they don't mark them as PVA glues like they do, I think, in Europe or something, because when I started looking for PVA glues and I wanted it, I wanted it to show on the bottle itself, nothing was really coming up. And it wasn't until I researched it and Googled it, I found out that Type Bond was PVA, which was a wood glue. The Elmer's glue was also a PVA glue, and the Mod Podge is a PVA glue. So once I found that out, I felt like, okay, I could go ahead and use this particular glue because I had it. I didn't want to go out and buy Elmer's glue. And I had gotten a little tiny one of these from the Dollar Tree. It was really inexpensive. And I didn't want to put a lot of money into this when I started because who knew if I was going to stick with it, right? You just don't know. So I had my glues in hand and I grabbed my books and I first covered the outside with paper. So this is paper from Amity Bloom. Fussy cut out here, I think, is probably my porch prints as well as the Alice in Wonderland. My husband is great. He's great at fussy cutting, and he cut all those little pieces out for me because I do not own a Cricut, and I still don't own a Cricut. So he does all the cutting for me. So I did the back and the back cover and front cover in this beautiful rose and blue lace looking paper. Gosh, I just love it. I think it's great. And I don't know, it feels so good. Also, what I did with the spine here is I put one of Amity Bloom's border papers here. Then I put the Alice in Wonderland on top. I was realizing that even if I put washi tape and glue on here, it wasn't going to hold very well. So I did, and I don't know if you can kind of see it. Under there is a single layer of cheesecloth. And that cheesecloth is there to help hold it together a little more, and it wraps around the spine. So that's what I've done there to keep it all together. And then I decided to paint that all with Mod Podge. So I used the Type Bond to glue everything down. That's what I used to put all the papers in place because I really felt like that was going to be a stronger bond. And then I put the Mod Podge over the top because it said it was a sealer. And so I thought, okay, I want this seal to protect it and give it a nice finish. So I put the Mod Podge all the way over everything to nicely seal it. And I did that several times to give it a nice good coat and give it that protection so it would last a long time. At that point, that looked fantastic. It looked wonderful. It was doing a great job, and I was happy. On the inside, I also put these polka dot front and back covers in there, and I just glued that down and Mod Podged it the same. One of the things I did go ahead and invest with is sorry about that, misspoke there. Invest with is the bone folder thing. So that was one of my bigger investments. I think it cost me like $7, and I just wanted to make sure that I could get everything laying down right. And so that was a great investment off of Amazon. And then from there, I just kind of decorated later. Now, as I started making my signatures, or the stacks of pages that create that signature in a book, I decided I wanted to do, oops, yeah, this is really, really close, I know. Let me get these out of here. I wanted to do 4 signatures. Actually, I think I wanted to do like 5 or 6, but I realized that that was too many. And then I wanted to do, I think I wanted to do 15 pages per signature. And that was just the one side. And let's see, what did we do here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, I did do 14. So I was pretty darn close on that. knowing that when you fold it in half, boom, you've got, twice the signature. Oh, I may have miscounted that. 15. I may have miscounted that. We'll have to look at that again later. So I did have some wonderful, what do you call it? That big 12 by 12 paper that I found at the Goodwill. Those craft papers that come to the 12 by 12 pads. Why is that not coming to me right now? So I used those big scrapbooking papers, and I was able to use those in this book, and that was kind of cool. I was excited about that. And I'll kind of go back on some of these as we go along. This was one of the pockets that I put in, and I was pretty excited about getting my first pocket in there. And this is a dangle off of my porch prints, and I was so excited about doing these for the first time. I put like the date on there so that I could see what the date was that I did it, and maybe where I got it off of my porch prints or whatever. And I just tore that. I just gonna use some of these stamps that I found at the Goodwill, or that came with the free stuff at the Goodwill. Like I was saying, that scrapbooking paper, somebody must have been doing a closeout of their scrapbooking store, because I got a plethora of stuff that was a range of scrapbooking stuff that works for junk journaling. And I paid maybe $100 for all of it at one point. It was just amazing, because I knew I was going to start doing this and I wasn't going to stop. So I made that investment. I wanted this to be Alice in Wonderland oriented, but not just like the book. And so I did deconstruct an Alice in Wonderland book, and I put it in here. The pages aren't in order. They're all irregular, but I was okay with that. So I'm learning new and fun things as I go along here. And one of them was to make an irregular edge. And I wasn't used to, inking edges either. So this book was started October of 2021. And I had surgery January of 2022. So that's when I was able to spend some time really investigating junk journaling, watching videos, and trying things out. I wanted to try spine jewelry because I love bling, and that's where you see these little lace pieces here and ribbon pieces here that have some dangles on it. I had more on it, but I took them off to use them somewhere else. And then the washi tape. Washi tape. Everybody was talking about washi tape, so I got washi tape and I used it in here to hold things down, finding out that it's not really meant to be that sticky, and some of it's meant to be repurposed and used. So you do need to use glue to make your washi tape stick. Over here on this page, practicing what you're doing is so important. And this is where I documented what I was practicing, what went right, what didn't go so well. And my first wax seal was awful. I used some old wax that I had and a seal that was probably about 25 years old. And that didn't go so well. So there's my sad face. It just crumpled up and it's falling off the book, and it was nasty, and realized I needed to get new ones if I wanted to try that again. Also, I made my first paper beads, and I put them on this dangle, and the paper beads, I thought those were weird but cool. So I did the paper beads, and what I'm finding now is, over a year later, but I was new at this too. What I did is I did some wet embossing. So I had some of those granules that you put a substance around the bead, and it's clear, right? And so it's wet. And then you put the wet embossing granules around it, and then you heat it with a heat gun, and it turns it hard and pretty. And so I had these beautiful enamel looking beads, even though they were really paper. And I was so excited. I was just like, oh my gosh, look what I made. I was just jumping up and down and showing my husband, because I really was pretty impressed with my own crafting at that point. That was pretty cool. I'd never done anything like that before. And yeah, so I put them on the ribbon, and they looked really nice. And now I'm finding out, look at that, they do fall apart and come to pieces. So I probably should have steeled those somehow differently. But I didn't use that enamel on anything else but these beads here. So That's a learning curve just as I'm doing this book. Wipe that off. But paper beads and fabric beads are a great way to do beading and to do it inexpensively. At one point, I sat down and made 300 paper beads, and it was a lot of fun, actually. I really enjoyed it. Also, I made this wonderful little flower that spins. Now, it is really cool to, when you make some of those up, it's a great idea to make some things in bulk. So we did make quite a few of these. Again, my husband hand cut all these little flowers out, all the little petals, and then I put them together. Now these are ready to go in any journal I want to use. I can embellish them, I can do whatever I want with them, but I don't have to sit down and make one each time I need one, which really kind of slows the process down, and I learned that the hard way. So if in fact you're going to be creating something for a journal, it doesn't hurt to make a few extra just to make sure that you have some for later when you need it or want it. And that way you don't have to spend that time slowing down, making that one item, and then moving on from there, and then doing that for the next journal. It's saved me a lot of time to learn to make things in mass. The specimen cards, I also made quite a few, not quite a few, but several of those. And this one, I dry embossed the acrylic there. I don't know if you can see that. So it's dry embossed, and then we've got that little leaf in there. And that little leaf, it's kind of cool because it looks real. I was able to get that thing to look pretty real, but it's fake. It was a fake one. So I really felt pretty proud of that one too. And then over here, I was practicing using dried flowers, which I did buy off of Amazon. And these dried flowers, I used packing tape to turn them into a sticker. So I had found a video on YouTube where you can basically use clear packing tape, and I think it was like 1 or 2 pieces, and I was able to make that into a sticker and put that on here, which I thought was kind of neat, especially if you didn't have any sticker material or any other way to do it. It was cheap and easy. So that was kind of fun doing that. And I kept taking notes of things as I went along. My first pressed flower sticker, my specimen card, and I made some little envelopes, and apparently I loved how those turned out. And what a great day. Found amazing bargains for creating and crafting. So excited to try everything out. So, yeah, that gets to be crazy when you're finding all these great bargains and you want to try everything out. Amity Bloom colorful papers need a different distressing ink. Oh, okay. So this was one of my little envelopes that I found, and again, I made extra so that I had them when I wanted them, and just keep that right in here. And the rickrack was fun to put around the edges. I really didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know how to do it. And the rickrack was something I was trying that was a little different. And I favor rickrack. I think it's great. It's something my mom used to use. And so it was exciting to be able to put that in my first journal because it reminds me of my mom. Also, this is a hidden paper clip. And so you've got the hidden paperclip in there. And this is a neat one to use on your journals too. And I made this. Oh no, that looks like my husband's. Made by Eric. That's because he was cutting things out for me. What a sweetheart. I mean, look at it. He's cutting out those little tiny flowers. And then there's a tea bag right along here. And that was a huge error and mistake. And boy, did that turn out weird. So this was a tea bag that I put in between the pages. It folded around. And then I decided I was going to not only glue it, but I was going to use some perfect medium here with my perfect pearls. And I was going to put it all over there. Actually, I was going to put it all over the page. And after I did that, because the glue wasn't dry, it kind of stuck weird and it kind of went weird places. And I was like, oh no, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to turn out. It looks kind of weird and funky. Let's see if we can find the other side. Because, yeah, I was really kind of disappointed on. But you know what? It was the first time I was trying things out. It was new and different, and I can't find the other side of it right now. But that's what this is about. It's about experimenting and trying and not getting discouraged when things don't turn out your first try, because they're not going to. They're not always going to. And sometimes it's going to look terrible. And that's okay too. A little dangle here that I created. And then I had some journal prompts from Amity Bloom that I put up there. A journal is just a book until you write in it. So I made sure I started writing in this, even though a lot of times I don't really write in my journals. I more than likely will just decorate them with my thoughts and memories and make it more of a picture-oriented kind of thing than write in it. And then glues, glues, glues. There's so much to learn about glues. And glues, they are all very different, and not every glue is the same. And again, using this book really taught me that. The other thing is my pages weren't laying flat after I glued things on there. So I might glue, 2, 3, 4 things on there, and it would not lay flat. It would wrinkle. And I didn't understand why they would crinkle up like they were. So yeah, they were kind of like bubbling and wrinkling. And that was using the Titebond. And I was getting really frustrated because I had all this extra time that I had to do and flattening the page and laying it out before I could use it. Oh, I tore my paper again. Oh well. And that was really frustrating. I did go to more expensive glue that is a lay flat glue that really does lay flat. So if I'm going to do a lot of gluing and I'm going to do it in my journal and I want that page to lay flat, I will go to the Linco glue for myself and use that. It's expensive, so I don't use it very often, but it's something that I do like to use when I want to save myself time and not have to dry pages and flatten them in between. The other thing I really recommend is going to your own stash and finding those things in your home that you can put in there. This was from when I was a young girl. This is, that is some, where did I put it? That is just a notebook from a notebook or notepad from when I was young. My sister had given me several of these, and it has some embossing and the pretty flowers, and those are all right up my alley. So I put some of those in here, and so that's something that I already owned. Also, some of the other things were that you can use are your own things from your cupboards or from your closets or wherever. Whether it's a dish towel or something, a scarf or something, there's a lot of things that you can use in your own journals and throw those in there. All right, so glues, glues, glues. Glues are so very important, and not all glues are the same. You would think that one PVA glue is like the other, and it's not. So we'll talk more about glues. I mean, I've got just 4 right here in front of me that I can pull up and show you. And so we've got the No Warp paper glue for Laminco. We've got the Mod Podge, Titebond, Fabric Fix. Oh, and we've got also the Art Glue and the Elmer's glue. So you can go crazy with glue, trying to find the right one that you like, which is important, finding the glue that works best for you, because what works for you may not work for somebody else, and vice versa. So it is important to find the one that you really do favor and like. But there's ways to do that, like buying the smaller sizes until you know what works for you, or buying the little sample sizes. Sometimes they have sample sizes at the Dollar Tree. So that's more of a conversation that we'll have around glue and what works and what doesn't, and what can actually ruin your journals or the other items that you're making embellishments, because they won't last very long if you use the wrong glue. So, and that's not even considering glue sticks. So anyhow, it's been great talking with you. I've been sick this week, so I am going to go rest, and we'll talk more about journals later. Bye, and have a great day.